is Kentucky Hot Brown Boys. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Bonesaw is ready.
Hey, welcome everybody to this week's edition of the Kentucky Hot Brown Boys. I am your host, Jerry Saylor. Sorry we're not doing the whole live on YouTube tonight. We had some technical difficulties. Pretty sure our hard drive took a shit on us. So, we're here. We're here, and Eli's queer.
Hey, deal with it.
But no, we do have a special guest in the studio. Dusty B had to take off. He had some work stuff he had to do. He helped us try to get our problem solved. But, work comes first. Got to go where the money is,
Hashtag priorities.
Yes, exactly. So the other voice you're hearing on the microphone tonight is my lifelong, long-term. Obviously, I haven't known you as long as I've known Mr. Chubby Friendly over here.
Hello.
But I've known you for quite a while, Eli.
It's been some time, Jerry, and I'm...
Sit up on the mic.
Get all the way up on it.
It's been some time, Jerry, and I don't regret a minute of it.
No,
look straight into that camera.
Obviously, we got Mr. Chubby Friendly on the soundboard again tonight.
Back
folks.
at it.
Yeah, and I said this right before we started. It feels so weird not to do this live. Like I still feel like I'm being watched, and like.
Yeah, like I'm conscious of the cameras.
Yeah, the cameras are still here, but it just feels super weird. And I know, Eli, this is your first time. You've never done a podcast before, have you?
Never. I've thought about it. I've talked about it, but I've never done it. I'm here. And I'm queer. Deal with it. Yeah, giveaway.
Now, it is kind of funny. You usually on the show, I don't know how if you went back and listened to previous episodes or whatnot, Mr. Eli, but we talk about some pretty gay shit on this show.
I'll admit,
small or big dick.
It's been a long time. Once upon a time ago, many moons ago, I did listen to a couple episodes, but I'll be honest, it's been some time.
Right.
But when I had the pleasure of being invited to the podcast by you, I did kind of go back and kind of skim some YouTube videos, and yeah, it's no hold bars. I mean, anything goes.
I wish I had a Zeus quote for the sound clip. yeah, that'd be great. But yeah, we pull no punches here. We go balls to the wall, balls deep, if you will. Yeah, big time. But yeah, it is. As far as I know, you are our first. What do you prefer? Gay, homosexual, what? Flamin' homo?
Let's say heterosexually challenged.
Heterosexually challenged. Okay, you are our first heterosexually challenged guest that we've ever had the pleasure of having on our show. That I know of. Have we ever had a questionable character on the show that you thought, maybe this guy smokes the pole?
I don't think so.
No. So you've never had someone on the show where you're like, this guy likes flavored coffee.
I like flavored coffee. So,
I'm gonna get to it. Never mind.
What's that taste like?
Yeah, giveaway.
Oh, what that smell like? Yeah.
What that smell like?
What that smell like?
Sit down, cunt.
Yeah.
Go ahead and sit down, cunt.
But yeah, oddly enough, you're our first heterosexually challenged guest we've ever had. Considering the amount of gay shit that we talk about, like on the regular, like past couple weeks, I've opened the show with talking about dicks.
Hey.
So,
Well,
We're all a little
just
chubby.
for the record, I would just like to go ahead and say I am offended already. So,
well, that's good. We've done our job then.
Yes.
We have done our job. We really have nothing planned out to talk about. There was some news stories that had come up this week. But, this is kind of like a special thing, so we're just going to fucking just go by the seat of our pants here and just let it fly.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, there is a news story I've had in my mind for the past couple of weeks. I don't know if you guys heard about the woman who was in a coma for many years.
I know where you're going with this. She ended up pregnant.
And
she just gave birth.
She ended up pregnant, and somebody mentioned that to me, and the first thing I thought was...
While she was in a coma?
You haven't heard about this?
While she was in a coma, she's been in a coma for years, fucking like Terry Schiavo shit, right?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, a nurse goes into the fucking, into her room and realizes that she's given birth. Right? So I'm at work the other day, and my coworker mentions the story to me. So I look at it and I research, and I'll tell you the first thing that went through my mind was, my name is Buck, and I like to fuck.
Yeah, I thought that too, honestly. I really did. It's crazy that we both thought that. But yeah, she's been in a coma for like years, like a long-ass time.
So what is this? So, we have all these trafficking issues going on in the world, right? All these people who are victims of all of these terrible, horrible sex crimes. So are people whoring out, coma patients? Is that what's going on?
I wouldn't say they're probably whoring her out. I would say it was probably just probably a one-time, well, at least one person thing.
Like, you mean like a horny nurse?
Yeah.
Now it's gotta go in there.
Now it's going to go in there. That's right.
I was trying to play Always Want a Child, but it's not playing.
Sit down, cunt.
Oh. But yeah, that's what I think it is. I think it was just a horny male nurse going in there and giving her the old high hard one. Quite a few times, probably.
Apparently.
It could be an immaculate child.
It could be. That could be Jesus.
You get Dogma.
You never know. Yeah.
Right, maybe
God was in a coma.
God's cock came down from the sky.
Something to that effect. Who the fuck knows?
To this day, if you're religious, if you're not religious, I respect you, I love you, can't we all just get along? But the Immaculate Conception, I think that Mary's the only woman who got away with it. You know what I mean? I wasn't cheating on you. And then you go back to you introduced me as the first gay guy on the show. So let me be the first one.
Heterosexually challenged.
Heterosexually challenged.
We've established
so
this.
Let me be the first one to remind everyone that Jesus actually had two fathers.
Technically, yeah. Mind blown.
World star hip hop right there.
Yeah. So we're going back to the whole heterosexually challenged thing, and actually, I wanted to talk about this on the show. And
sure.
I'm glad you brought up the whole heterosexually challenged thing. Have you ever been with a woman, Eli?
Only for truth or dare. I'll tell you, one time I ate a girl out. That's pretty much the farthest I've ever gone. I was with a really dear friend of mine.
Did you
Jack.
rub your nose on it?
I did. I did everything.
Nice.
I thought if I'm going to do this,
Did you do it to the point of her reaching climax?
That's it.
I did. So what actually happened? What had happened was, I was hanging out with my friend Jack and his girlfriend Sarah, and this was New Year's Eve of I'm so old now. I don't know. It's so long ago. So, anyways, we're sitting around. We decided to start playing Truth or Dare, which always becomes sexual, right? That's just how Truth or Dare is.
Yeah,
So actually, Sarah was like, "Eli, I dare you to eat me out," and I was like, I've never done that before. I've never been deep sea diving, but let's give it a go. So I figured if I'm going to do this, right, if you're going to do anything in life, you may as well be the best at it.
Were you into it at all, or were you just kind of like, this is kind of lame, tastes like shit?
It was, it did not taste like shit.
Were you already out? Like, did everybody know your sexuality, or was it like...
So, that's a difficult question, right? I don't have a fucking tattoo on my forehead that says I
just didn't know if she knew.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
These are close friends, and all of a sudden she says, "Eli, I dare you to eat me out." And I said...
And her boyfriend was totally cool with that.
He was cool with it.
Did he watch?
And I'll tell you why he was cool with it. So...
Because he knew.
Well, because he didn't realize that I was about to get her fucking jonesing. So I go down on her. She's super clean. I was kind of grossed out, as gay men get grossed out by vaginas. So,
what is it about a vagina that grosses you out?
Because it's just, I don't know.
Tony is a man.
Not my thing. Sit down, cunt. So, I don't know. I've just never in my fucking life ever been turned on. It looks like a coin slot. Where do I put the coin? Am I going to play a fucking song? Where do I put the coin?
I wish it played songs. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Yeah. And so I went down on her probably for a good 5 to 10 minutes, and I made her come. I think potentially a couple of times.
Nice.
Luckily, she wasn't a squirter, so I don't have to worry about that.
It's all piss anyway.
So, but really, more than anything, I got her ready. So, after I went down on her, she put on a good Harry Potter film for me, 'cause, Harry Potter for life, and then she proceeds to go into the kitchen, just one room over. This is a small apartment.
Yeah.
And Jack proceeds to fuck the shit out of her, loudly.
And he didn't even have to worry about, getting her off.
Didn't have to worry about foreplay or about getting her ready. I did that apparently. Apparently, I was amazing. And it was awkward and weird, and eventually I left, But, yeah. So that's pretty much the extent of being with a woman. I can't really bring myself to do it. I've had opportunities in my past life, but, not.
Was there anything exciting at all about it, or were you just like, I might as well just fucking do this?
It was exciting in the sense that I was in a position where I could then say that I did it. Yeah. Right? But
you yourself weren't aroused.
No.
Not even a little bit?
Not even a little bit. Nothing. I mean, I don't really believe that there is gay and that there is straight. I think it's like Oprah said, a 1 to 10 scale, right? Because the majority, not all guys that I've had a romantic connection with have been straight. My first love is currently happily married with a child. I mean, it's.
I didn't know I was your first love, Eli.
Well, Jerry, you've been so good to me since the baby was born. But it's just kind of like sexuality, sexual orientation is a historically and socially constructed idea. There is no such thing, and I am fucking living proof because the experiences I've had contradict everything that people say that about things being black and white. Nothing is black and white.
But like, I could never like be in a position of like go down on this chick and not be. And
be like, I'm gonna fuck this bitch out.
Like I and there's the same way. I don't think not that I've ever been in the position, but if a guy was like, suck my dick, there's never, I don't think, a position where I would feel, let's go do this.
Let's just do it to say I did it. Fuck it. Yeah. Let's suck this dick.
So I mean, I'm with you. I want to say I kind of feel like blowjobs are a special thing that they don't really. It's not based on being straight or gay. You close your eyes. You'd think there's a girl sucking your dick, but if there's a guy, as long as he's got a clean-shaven face, how would you know?
Let's find out. Let's fucking find out.
Let's find out. Okay. We'll be back in 10 minutes.
Well, like, the cameras are off, so.
Yeah. I'm just saying. I think I would know.
Go ahead and sit down.
Let's take you two guys, for example. You've had crazy, wild sex adventures with ladies in your life.
I've kissed Jerry. I've licked his nipple.
Yeah.
Well, that's another podcast.
Get a free hand, Eli. We'll tell you the story.
All right. Okay, then. And I think that, let's take you guys, for example. You know where you stand. You know how you feel. At the end of the day, at the end of your life, you want to be laying next to a woman.
There's definitely a line, and on this side of it, we ain't gay. Not saying that there's anything wrong with that.
But what if you, earlier on in life, were pre-exposed to that? To it being okay and being normal and came close to having an experience.
Like kind of Greek?
Exactly like Greek, which leads me to a joke.
I like Euros.
Let's go with the joke.
So there's a joke. So there's a Jewish guy, an Italian guy, and a Greek guy, and they're all walking down the road, and bam, they get hit by a truck and they die, right? So they go to hell. Satan says, "Welcome to hell," and he says, "I'll let you guys go back to living and back to earth if you give up what you love most." And all the guys are like, "Fuck yeah, I'm done with this hell shit. I'm going back up." So they get back in earth and life, and they're walking down the street, and the Italian guy sees a pizza place, and he's like, "Oh, I must have the pizza of my people. I love the pizza." So he goes in and he has that.
Italian.
Goes in. Thank you. I've been practicing. So he goes in and has a piece of pizza, and bam, he disappears and goes back to hell.
Right.
So the Jewish guy and the Greek guy, are walking down the street. The Jewish guy sees a penny on the ground. He bends over to pick it up, and the Greek disappears.
That's a good one, man. That is a good one. That actually reminds me of a joke, if you're willing to hear it.
Sure, let's hear it.
Okay, I got to think about it here for a second. It's been a while since I've told this joke. Okay, so there's 3 gay guys sitting on a park bench, right? And their significant others have all recently just passed away.
Okay.
And they were all cremated, and they're all sitting there holding the urns with their loved ones' ashes in it.
Okay.
And the first one goes, "I think I'm going to go dump John's ashes in all the national parks throughout the United States because he loved nature. He wanted to be close to nature.
Sure.
I think that's where he deserves to end up."
Right.
And the second guy goes, "I think I'm going to go dump Paul's ashes in all the oceans of the world."
Why's it got to be Paul?
Just a random name I picked up. He's like, yeah, he loved sailing. He loved being in the water. I think that's where he'd want to end up. Third guy stands up and he goes, well, I'm going to go home and I'm going to make the spiciest pot of chili that I can make. And I'm going to put his ashes. You know where this is going? Let me finish. Let me finish here. And I'm going to make the spiciest pot of chili that I can make. And I'm going to dump old Eli's ashes in that pot of chili.
So you can shit it out.
So he can tear this ass up one more time. Because I know that's what he'd want to do.
Okay, so I don't want to bore our audience with jokes, but I do have one more joke.
There's a rule of
for you.
threes, so
Yeah.
Rule of threes.
This
So-
is it. This is it after that.
So a guy's at his primary care physician. He's at the doctor's, right? And the doctor says to him, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but you can't masturbate anymore. And he says, Doctor, why? And the doctor says, because I'm trying to do a physical on you.
Because I'm your dentist. I like that one. That is a good one. So okay, Eli. So you've eaten out a chick. Have you ever made out with a chick? Have you ever felt a boob?
Sure, yeah.
when you were like in school, did you have a girlfriend or anything?
No,
Yeah.
never. I've never been in a relationship. I've actually only technically been on 4 dates in my entire life at the age of 32. So
With just men.
just men. So growing up in Kentucky,
Were they all men, or were they some of them boys?
men?
They were all men.
They were all men. They were all close to my age.
Right on. So
What that smell like?
so 4 men, 4 dates,
Yeah.
and yet here you are sitting in my basement. With I'm assuming you're currently single. I'm guessing.
So that's a complicated question, Jerry, because if you were to believe in digital love, I'd say that I'm in a relationship.
Okay,
And physical,
all right.
in the physical realm, I'm not.
Okay, I got you.
So
Like a long distance thing, or
long distance, you could say that.
okay?
Philippines.
Schlong distance.
Philippines.
Oh.
Met this guy about a year ago named Fred. Super lovely, wonderful human being, and we've connected and spent a lot of time talking to each other. And the goal is after this much time, sometime this summer, we're gonna
Has he asked you for like an iTunes gift card or anything?
no.
No. Okay. Just
But I
check.
did volunteer one. No, I'm just kidding. No, no, it's not like that. You know, I've been catfished before because lacking romance in the physical realm. You know, you have urges, you have needs. You know, you try to meet people, and totally been catfished before. I got catfished by this fucking Russian guy, and so it was the most bizarre situation. So we were emailing each other for like 2-3 months.
Did he ask you who you were going to vote for?
No, this was before. This is before Trump was even in
okay.
office, or
Gotcha.
maybe Trump was in office. I don't know. Anyways, we chatted a lot. We sent each other emails, and we'd always send each other pictures. Well, one day, the pictures he was sending me were like so beautiful. He was like the most beautiful guy, and I don't know what inspired me to do it, but I right-clicked one of the images and searched for the for the source file for the image. Came across some random model's Instagram who was not him, and I was like, you motherfucker. Like, what a joke. And that hasn't happened to me a lot. I've had, if I'm going to be so bold to say, I've had several online relationships before. Never a relationship in
Haven't
the,
we
in the
all?
physical
Honestly, America
But-
Online back in the day.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
realm. ASL, right? That's what.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
But Fred is a special guy, and maybe that'll actually turn into something. We're going to meet together at a. I'm going to fly him to the U.S. sometime this summer. We're gonna go for like Red River Gorge or Pigeon Forge and just go to a cabin and hang out for a week, and so we'll see what happens.
There's going to be something getting gorged, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm human, you know. You talk
Right.
about fucking 32 years of pent up frustration. You know, it's gonna be taken out on somebody. You know.
That's true.
1776 will commence again.
Sit down, cunt.
But now you say you only been on 4 dates, but you have had more than 4 sexual partners. Would I be correct in
I
saying
mean,
that?
define sexual partner.
You fucked a dude.
Fucked a dude.
Yeah.
Technically speaking, no.
No, what?
I've tried. I've come close. It just didn't happen that way.
You've
So I've messed around plenty of times.
Blowjobs.
Blowjobs, lots of blowjobs.
right, but you've never actually
Not lots. I'm not like a fucking like. I don't have one leg in Texas and the other in Arkansas. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to like sit on the wall. But
when you get down, it's blowjobs.
when I get down, it's usually just blowjobs. Whatever I can do to express physical affection.
Okay, now let me rephrase my question.
Sure.
I feel like an attorney. I watch
Sure.
a lot of SVU here. You know.
As my attorney,
Yeah. So let me ask you this. You hit it again.
Okay. There we go.
That's good enough.
is that the Law and Order
Law
sound?
and Order sound, yeah.
2:25 p.m. Thursday.
So, Your Honor, let me rephrase here.
Okay.
You say you've never actually fucked a dude.
Right.
Have you ever been fucked by a dude?
Yes.
Let me rephrase that again. Have you ever had your shit pushed in?
Yes.
Answer the question!
That has technically happened
that has
one time when I was 21, and oddly enough, we were watching Across the Universe. You know that Beatles
Oh
movie?
yes, I love it.
Yeah.
And I actually lost my virginity to the "It Won't Be Long."
Yeah. It won't be long. Yeah.
It won't be long. Yeah.
I'm glad
Till I come home to you.
Bowling alley, fucking great scene. I love that shit. No, that's her bedroom. Then they go to the bowling alley right after.
I'm really glad you guys can share that memory together.
No, the bowling alley scene is. I just can't believe I saw a face that I would play, blah, blah. Yeah, I love the Beatles, and I actually love that film. Jerry, have you seen Across the Universe?
I've seen it.
Maybe.
What an incredible film. And I have a lot of friends who are like diehard Beatles fans. And the thing is like, they're like, it's not the Beatles, but you know what? Fuck you. It's their own interpretation.
Exactly.
It's a great film, and I love it. And Jim Sturgis and Evan Rachel Wood, who was dating Marilyn Manson at the time that film was going. Just unbelievable. Really great.
Gotta ask you, what's your favorite song from like their interpretation song in the movie?
That's going to have to be the I Want You, She's So Heavy scene when Max goes to...
The hospital.
No, he goes to the military. No, you're talking... Oh, gosh, you know what? Happiness.
Happiness is a warm gun. What song did you say?
I was thinking of I Want You.
That's my favorite. Yes, the whole choreography and the doctors.
I want you so bad.
Uncle Sam comes out of the fucking picture and he... fucking great scene.
But that's how it was, and in my opinion, I Want You, She's So Heavy. Yeah, the female in that, they're talking about the Statue of Liberty, but that's how it was. It's so unbelievable to think about the draft. Think you're some normal guy. You're in school. You're rocking. You're rolling, and all of a sudden you're watching TV one night, and your name gets called.
Your number.
My father was actually in Vietnam, and what had happened was
Vietnam.
Well, in a world where all of his friends were kicking and screaming and getting dragged away to be put in the military, he actually said, "Fuck it." My dad was a fucking hero, and he said, "You know what? I'm going to enlist because I don't mind going because I'm happy to serve my country. So let's fucking get it on."
Real Rambo fucking type.
So I mean, that's an interesting subject because the number one rule about anybody in the military is you do not ask them about their experiences, period. That is the most rude, awful, monstrous thing you can do. If they want
I've done it plenty of times.
If they want to tell you and share their experiences with you, then you let them. And over my life, my dad occasionally here and there will tell me an experience, but he was an MP and he was stationed in Seoul, South Korea. And so he was on a military base. Now, from what I've heard from my mother, that sounds like a cushy job, right? You're a military police on a base that's obviously very safe. Well, we're also talking about Vietnam, where guys like to party.
No. We're not talking about Vietnam. We're talking about Viet fucking Nam.
Viet fucking Nam.
Yeah.
So my father is an MP, and the thing about Vietnam guys with all the traumatic experiences and everything they go through, they like to party.
Right.
They like to party.
Fucked a lot of whores
fast forward to today, right? I think they said about 10 years ago, the overwhelming majority of homeless people were Vietnam veterans.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I imagine that he had to have seen some shit, had to have broken up some massive parties because the story that I remember more than anything is my mom telling me about how when my mother and father were married and they went out to dinner with a couple, they're having dinner and drinks, and the guy says to my father, he says, "So Dan, how was Vietnam?" and my dad apparently started profusely like vomiting at the table. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know what he must have went through, and I love my dad. He's an incredible man, but like that was very nice.
Now I'm a G.
Anyways, I mean, who knows? You don't know someone's story. You don't know what they've been through. And the last thing I'm going to do is fucking ask and be a monster, you know?
Right.
And I love how it went from me, like, eating a vagina to, like, sucking dicks to, like, talking about my father's heroic military history. This is great.
That just
We got there through the Beatles, though.
Yeah, it shows off your diversity, I think, Eli.
And actually, you know, talking about military, I was thinking about it earlier today. You know, my mother's father, my mother's father was in the Navy, which is why my mom grew up in San Diego with her brothers and sisters. My father was in Vietnam, and his father was in World War II, so I've got a lot of, you know...
You got a lot to live up to, man.
I got a lot of military in my family, and as much as I preach, you know, fuck the man, and not in the gay way, I mean like in the political way, you know, fuck the man.
I think you'd make an excellent drill sergeant.
You think so? I couldn't
Go ahead
do
and
it.
sit
I
down,
couldn't do it. Speaking of drill sergeant, you want to know a fun fact I learned the other day?
Yeah, let's hear it, man.
I was watching a YouTube video about Bob Ross. You know,
Yeah.
we're just gonna paint.
He was a vet,
you know,
wasn't he?
He was. So the whole reason why he got into being a painter,
Probably calmed him down a lot.
he was a drill sergeant in the Marines for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And he said that he was so sick of being the guy who yelled at people and he got so angry. He wanted a more peaceful life. And then became this fucking genius artist. And what's even more wild is that he had sources of income as an artist. He sold art supplies and things like that.
Right.
But his show, the Bob Ross show or whatever the fuck it was called, he did not make a dime. All of that money he made from that show went to a charity because he was set in his life. He didn't have millions, but he was comfortable.
Right.
Work your ass off for 20 years.
Very humble.
Very humble. Very humble. And what an incredible man. You know, father, son, Bob Ross. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I believe the show is The Joy of Painting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joy of Painting, is that what it was? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, and unbelievable. And nobody could match him. And you know, it was so funny. I remember watching an episode. Well, when they put the series on Netflix, I was like, awesome, I can fall asleep to this show. Only problem with that is when he, in between painting, he beats the shit out of his paintbrush.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, okay, I can't sleep to that. And I mean, like, just what a humble, good human being. I mean, look at Bob Ross. That's how you should live your life. But he would talk about how, you know, people would write into the show and they'd say, Bob, I'm trying to mirror what you're doing. I'm trying to capture the detail and texture of these trees and forests, and I can't do it. And Bob said, do your best. It's your interpretation. Whatever you do, it's not bad. Keep at it and practice and just understand that, you know, don't compare yourself to my art. Don't compare yourself to anybody else's art. It's all interpretation. And what's interesting about that is you look at modern art nowadays, right? Classic art versus modern art. You look at classic art, which is this fucking unbelievable mastery with history and feeling and so much behind it. And then you look at modern art and it's some fucking cunt who says, I drew a black circle because it mirrors what I have in my soul, and then she fucking sells this shit for $10,000. I mean, and I don't mean to insult anybody. All I'm saying is it's all up for interpretation.
Right.
Art is truly in the eye of the beholder.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree with you more. I think what we do here is art. Mm-hmm. Every week we sit down with a blank canvas and we just beat that motherfucker to death until a masterpiece comes out. I couldn't argue that fact.
Absolutely, and it's not just that, Jerry. You work hard. You put time into it. You care. You care about it. You know. I truly believe this quote that I heard. I think it may have been from Joe Rogan, the #1 podcaster himself, when he said, "The only thing that separates a good podcaster from a bad podcaster is time."
Yeah.
You put enough time in, you'll get the followership. You'll get the reaction you want. It's all about dedication. And you've been doing Kentucky Hot Brown Boys for a long time now, Jerry.
Six long years, man.
6 years.
Yeah.
And
when we first started out doing this show, Chubbs had told me, he said, hey, you put 10,000 hours into this and it's going to turn into something. 10,000 hours is what it calls for.
and I believe that's actually the 10,000 hour theory. I forget if it's the 1,000 hour or 10,000.
10,000.
I remember one time I was doing a bunch of research on like game theory and things like that for poker and all kinds of stuff. And they're like, you want to be You want to be proficient at Scrabble. You want to be proficient at chess. Play for 10,000 hours and you'll be somewhere. You'll be. I mean, an opponent. You'll be a worthy challenge.
Right.
You know, but isn't that anything in life? You study hard. You spend your time on it. You know, we all have our passions. Like sometimes I feel like in life I've got a gift and I've got a curse. You know, my curse is that I lack in myself a lot of things, but my gift is that I see in others so much power and so much strength, and I really understand people, and I love people's passions. I'm so inspired by what other people are into, Jerry. I mean, like, Jerry, I love that you've got this podcast. I love what you do. I love your conviction. I love that, you know, you've put so much time and care into it. I mean, you know, our audience can't see the studio right now, but I'm telling you, if you're listening, you know, Jerry has put his heart and soul into what we're surrounded by. This isn't some weak shit. You know, we're not in a fucking iPhone podcast. I mean, this is real shit.
Definitely not.
You know, Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
Hot Brown Boys ain't nothing to fuck with.
Sit down, cunt. So, you know, I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but
no.
I like to eat.
Doing wonderful, man. Doing wonderful. The Budweiser's giving you the liquid courage needed to profess your
right.
inner, deepest, darkest thoughts.
Hercules. We have a reservation for the clumps, and we all hungry.
My favorite part of that movie is the fight in the first movie, not the clumps. When the grandma tells the dad that she's gonna whoop his ass. That whole like interchange, like she's like, walk on over here, short walk. You'll be crawling back. Short walk. I love Eddie Murphy's movies.
Eddie Murphy's
That's,
just,
you know, Eddie Murphy is, I'm going to say this. Eddie Murphy is shit, but he's one of those comedians, one of those artists who has enough moments in his work that's gut-wrenchingly funny that makes it worth it. Kind of like take Adam Sandler, for example.
Whoa.
I think Adam Sandler is trash, except I find myself constantly quoting Billy Madison. I can't tell you how many times over the past year I said, if pee in your pants is cool, consider me Miles Davis. Or like even that goddamn Sasquatch.
Who eats 30 packed lunches?
Goddamn Sasquatch.
I think though, like Adam Sandler had like a moment. He had like a blip
He was
where
hot
he was
there for a
hot.
while, yeah.
But Eddie Murphy has, you know, like he was amazing, and then he was on Saturday Night Live and he was amazing, then he did stand up and it was amazing, and he had a string of really awesome movies. And then I like it's Jack Black says, do you judge an artist by their, you know, sins, or do you judge them by their great, you know, like their past where they were a legend?
Well, you know, it's funny, Tim.
If you think about that, you got to consider Bill Cosby. How do you feel about that?
Well, but again, I think he fell into a moment. You know, like he was first person of color in like in a TV show, like that was like he was an I Spy, and he
With
was
the
like
Jell-O pudding. My wife Camille used to ride a bicycle.
But like he was in that show I Spy in the 60s, and he was like the first person of color that was like in a leading role in a like television show, like a sitcom or whatever it was.
Right.
But like I've listened to like the stand up. Not a lot of it's great. Like it's not.
You got to take it for the time it was out, though.
Right.
And for him himself.
Right.
I mean, granted,
Well,
I agree the guy's a monster. He shouldn't have done what he was doing.
He's a monster, but let's take our feelings about it. Let's remove subjectiveness or subjection. Or I don't know which word I'd use here, but let's look at it objectively, right?
Right.
You know, let's look at their success. You know, and especially talking about Bill Cosby, Eddie Murphy. And
Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, they have made millions. Bill Cosby, for example, in the prime of the Cosby Show, he was making something like $3 million per an episode.
It was that special barbecue sauce.
Was that a special barbecue sauce?
Have you ever seen that clip?
No.
It's fucking
You
great.
need to watch.
What are you talking about?
Go on YouTube and Google
Bill Cosby,
barbecue sauce. There's a scene from the show where he talks about this barbecue sauce that he makes. That every time a female eats it,
They start feeling a little
a little tingle in their pants, you know, talking about, hey, I dare you to eat me out, that kind of shit. Yeah.
And then
it's so creepy.
and the scene ends with his wife like, well, let's go inside, and she like walks off and he's following her. Then he turns around and he grabs the barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, you think about wealth and fame, right? I mean, people like us, we live within our means, right? We wake up in the morning and we say, what can I do today? What am I able to do today? What is within my physical ability, right?
Right.
When you have wealth and fame, it's not a matter of what can you do. It's a matter of what do you want to do.
Right.
Which is why I think sometimes the wealthy and the elite are absolute freaks because they've done everything. They've seen everything. They've felt everything, and they want to push the limit. And I think I think
to the limit.
Sit down, cunt. And so I think those people you find to be the most fucked up shit. Like look at all the child trafficking stuff that's starting to come to light over the past couple of years. And you know who's fucking behind it? People who are important. People who have a lot of
have the money.
Means.
Yeah.
Right?
Shut your murderous fat mouth.
They're fucking was that Alex Jones?
Yeah.
You authoritarian. You're a flaming fascist piece of trash.
And I just mean it's interesting what people will do, what the elite will do when they have the means. I mean, a lot of them are sick, and I mean, I don't know. We're not there. We're only going based off of what we hear and what we see. But the truth is there's so much more to the story on every level. And it's fucked up. It's twisted. It's I don't know.
You got a good point, man. You do have a good point. I totally agree. I think
Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Look at Weinstein, man.
Yeah.
That motherfucking piece of trash. like first of all, him with his erectile dysfunction. I heard one story. One whistleblower gal came out, and she said she was at this dinner party, having dinner and drinks, very sophisticated, very classy, very beautiful. Harvey Weinstein, that fucking cocksucking motherfucker. I say cocksucking, but no disrespect to the homo crowd. Anything for a jab at that guy. So she sits down and they start talking and they're having drinks and pleasant time. And he says, I'm going to go up to my hotel room to grab a bottle or something like that. And they go up to his hotel room and she sits down at like the little dining room table. He fucking drops trow and starts masturbating. And she's like, oh, well. And he says, shut up, just don't say anything. Just sit there and just don't say anything. She lets him finish, and then he goes on his way, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What kind of a fucking monster do you be? Are you, you know what I mean? I'll be the first to admit that I'm one of the most sexually frustrated people I know in my life, but you know what I mean? I'm not going to be quick to fucking hurt somebody over it. Like, whatever happened to good old masturbation when you're alone by yourself? Just get your rocks off and call it a day. You know what I mean? Why do you got to be a fucking creep? But I'll tell you what it is Harvey Weinstein has the power. He has the influence. So he thinks he can get away with whatever the fuck he wants. But luckily that's changing. And I hope that motherfucker just rots in hell. Keep your hands to yourself. I'll tell you a story. One time, many years ago, I was living in, and it's probably one of the only times I've ever borderline gotten physical in my life because I'm a lover, not a fighter, right? I don't like let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the things. Anyways,
Go ahead and sit down, cunt.
So for a while, I was living in Nashville, now also affectionately known as Nash Vegas, and
Smashville.
I was at this random dingy gay bar, and I was with my friend Ice, who is a giant black lesbian who lived on Electric Avenue. I'm not lying. That was a true story. And anyways, so we were kicking it. We were
down to Electric Avenue.
We gonna rock down to Electric Avenue. And keep your blah, 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 blah. Hey, take that shit to the next level, essay. So anyways, I always tell people this story. It's like compulsive for me because I'm kind of proud of it because I've never thrown a punch in my life. I've never been in a fist fight. Nothing more than like extreme verbal back and forth. Right?
Oh, yeah!
So at one point I was at the bar having a drink and I had to use the restroom. So I walked to the bar and this fucking older gay man completely full cup, full palm, grabbed my ass. And he's smiling and he's laughing. He's like, and grabbed my ass like I was a fucking piece of meat. I turned around and I grabbed him just like out of a movie. I grabbed him by the front of his shirt and I pulled him in. And I said, you keep your fucking hands to yourself. And immediately his tone totally changed. And he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I was like, don't do that again. You know what I mean? What gives you the fucking right? What makes you think that you can put your fucking hands on me because you're this or you're that? I don't care if you're a guy, a girl, straight, gay, what the fuck ever you are. You keep your hands to yourself. Like, the people have, you know, boundaries and limits. Like, you know, take us, Jerry, take our friendship. I know that I can hug on you and you know, be physically affectionate. And it's not a problem. But if ever there was a situation where anybody, you know, was very clear about, you know, that boundary, no problem. I won't violate that. You know, it's important to understand that, you know, maybe I don't have a bubble, but other people do. And it's about being respectful. Don't put your hands where they're not fucking wanted. And it's as simple as that. And it blows my mind that people just fail so hard on that. You know, be respectful of others. It's not that fucking hard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally
left,
agree with you.
Right, left, right.
To go back on the Harvey Weinstein thing, I hate to defend this guy even a little bit.
There's a butt coming, Tim. There's a butt coming.
Yeah, there is.
There's a big butt coming.
Yeah, giveaway.
But my issue with Harvey Weinstein and Hollywood in general, for that matter, for the longest time, there's always been a saying: "It's not who you know, it's who you blow." So all these actresses that want to like up and move to fucking Hollywood and shit, that thing's been around for decades. You know, they kind of, I feel, at least a little bit, they expect to have to do something like that in order to get ahead. And which brings up another saying: in order to get ahead, you got to give some head.
I've never heard that before.
You've never heard that? am I the only one? Have you heard that before, Chubbs?
To get ahead, you got to give some head.
Yeah.
We'll start hip hop.
So, in my opinion, and we even talked about this with Bruce. I asked Bruce. I said, Bruce, when you get to L.A.,
right?
And what are you going to do if Pauly Shore's like, hey, you sucked this dick, I'll give you a fucking headlining spot for a week or a month or whatever? And he was like, fuck, I'd do it. You know?
Well, hold on a second, because the Harvey Weinstein thing is a little bit different. The situation that Eli was describing, and the infamous tape that originally exposed him, woman.
I'm just saying that, like, other actresses and actors, they go to Hollywood and then they get, you know, propositioned like, hey, you let me fuck you and I'll put you in this movie. And that's
the proposition that he gave to that woman and to the woman in the infamous recording was just come up to my room.
Right.
Because at that point, it wasn't even about, like, I'll give you a part. He was just like, you will do as I say because I am Harvey Weinstein.
Right.
You will go to my room, and then I will jerk off in front of you.
Because if you don't follow my lead, you know what I'm capable of.
Right. It's not even like I'll do quid pro quo.
Right.
It's like, just, no, I'm going to jerk off in front of you. Let's go to my room. I mean, not even like I'm going to jerk off in front of you. Just go to my room. Now. Come on. Don't embarrass me right now. You come to my room. Come to my room. Like, have you heard that tape?
But they still went.
Oh yeah,
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Well,
he's out in the hallway. He's out in the hallway of his hotel room.
Yeah.
He's like, just come inside. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Just come inside. Everything's okay. Don't embarrass me. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, obviously, you know, today is a little bit different than the way it was a long time ago. I was listening to another podcast not long ago, and they were talking about the filming of Wizard of Oz, right? They were talking about back in the day when Judy Garland was so beautiful and so perfect, and she could sing so well. But we were also talking about a time in Hollywood when there was only maybe 3 or 4 major production companies. Mm-hmm. And when somebody said to you, you will never work again in this town, they fucking meant it.
Yeah.
They meant it. Nowadays, for actors, there's so many independent production companies, there's so many opportunities that if you want to be a successful actor, you can, and nobody's going to hold you down.
Right.
But I mean,
like, you don't even have to be on screen to be a successful actor. You could be in a
voice actor
or you know, like stage.
Yeah,
stage is like big now in a big way. I mean, people talk about Lin-Manuel Miranda, and he's not really like ever starred in anything. He's just
holy shit, one of the most successful play producers of all time. I mean, Hamilton's already fucking blown it out of the water. My God, the last, so Lin-Manuel occasionally will perform in like Puerto Rico or the UK, or he's got lots of stuff going on. But so when he announced that he was going to have his last performance in Chicago, you would not fucking believe what these tickets went for.
Yeah.
Like, no, Hamilton tickets are already impossible to get, even in fucking Cincinnati. You want to go see Hamilton? Get in fucking line.
Not even get in line.
Just like Wicked, just like Les Miserables, these shows are so unbelievably popular, you can't get a ticket. So what happens when you can't get a ticket? People start scalping, right?
Or sucking dick.
Or sucking dick. Because to get ahead, you got to give some head, right, guys?
That's right.
Yeah, giveaway.
But tickets were going for thousands of fucking dollars.
These tickets are front row, right?
I mean, and just think about, I don't know if you guys have ever heard like any of the soundtrack, but I mean, let's talk about the song that's titled Alexander Hamilton.
Drop
he was
it right
a
now.
bastard, orphan, son of a whore, and a Scotsman, dropped in the middle of a forgotten spot in the Caribbean by Providence and Providence.
Grew up to be a hero and a scholar. The $10 founding father without a father got a lot farther by working a lot harder, by being a self-starter. By 14,
18, he was in charge of a
trading charter.
Well, and
Started from the bottom, now he's here.
well, anyways, I mean, just fucking Lin-Manuel, like, what an incredible man. And here he is as a fucking billionaire, and his wife, I love it, she's a working, like, neurobiologist or something like that, you know what I mean? Lin-Manuel's a brilliant person. So, and it's incredible, Lin-Manuel, but, I was talking with a friend the other day, and whenever I think of, Lin-Manuel was in that new Mary Poppins film with Emily Blunt, and
I haven't seen it yet.
I heard really good things.
Wait, you said something about a blunt?
hey, every day of my life, employers, I hope you're not listening because I fucking cheated your drug test. Whenever I think about Mary Poppins, and I think about the old Simpsons episode where Sherry Bobbins came to visit.
Yeah, I remember Sherry Bobbins. Yeah.
So at the end of the episode, after everything, and she, flies away on her umbrella, you see her fly into the air, and she's off into the sky. And Bart says to Homer, he says, "Do you think we'll ever see her again?" And then all of a sudden you see her get hit by a plane. And Homer says, "I'm sure of it."
Yeah, I just realized because we just came back from a little bit of a break, and I should have brought us back with,
"Go ahead and sit down, cunt."
It's good that we sat down. I know we had our technical difficulties before the show started, and Dusty B, bless his heart, he worked so hard to try to get us going before he left. And I was really disheartened. I was like, man, this fucking sucks. It's not going to be able to do a live show this week. And both of you guys were just like, come on, let's do it, man. Let's do it. And I'm just having these flashbacks in my head of how we used to do it old school. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, fuck, man, we're going to do it old school. And then we sit down, I get the other computer up and going so we can do the audio. And I was like, you know what? I'm really glad we did this, man.
Well, and Jerry, I appreciate your determination, and I think that was very kind of Dusty to do all of his work there. But ultimately, with this episode, the only avenue that we're lacking on is YouTube. Otherwise, we got Stitcher, we got your website, we got every motherfucking
iTunes.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
iTunes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sorry.
Tongue-tied there.
Yeah. While you were working so hard with Dusty trying to get this thing going, Eli and I were bonding over Reggie Watts.
Oh yeah.
And when you were like, there can be no I don't really want to do the show. I was like, no, it's good. It's going to be good. Just the way we were communicating back and forth. I'm like, we have to do this. We have to sit down and record this.
Right. The show must go on.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you told me a lovely story about two mice being trapped in a...
That was Catch Me If You Can, which is another thing that we were bonding over while you guys were working so hard.
Right. Okay. Frank Abagnale Jr., you talk about somebody who, there's a saying, fake it until you make it, or even fake it until you become.
This is my fucking life story.
That's it's a glimpse into my future as well.
Yeah.
I mean, just fucking unbelievable. And we were talking about the fact that I remember some time ago I was doing some research about that whole story, and it's just really interesting how he managed to get through it. Because, if I were to say I am a pediatrician, but I'm just not practicing, that's legal. If I tell you that I'm a pediatrician and I can help you, that's fraud. That's grounds for getting arrested. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's just really interesting that there's that fine line between just, being careful about how you say what you are.
But he was a practicing doctor, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't.
Oh.
He wasn't.
Dr. Phil.
Right.
Yeah, Dr. Phil has no fucking medical background. Catch me outside. How about that? It's like Dr. Phil's ridiculous. I don't really respect that. I remember years ago, it was an episode where he had this woman on who had a self-proclaimed, overeating problem. And he basically said, stop eating. Oh, there you go. You solved the fucking medical mystery behind
Roll the fucking credits. We're done.
Stop doing it. I mean, at least he was better than AA, right? I mean, you get the fucking 12 steps, and not one of those single steps is stop drinking or stop doing what you're doing, right? But oh, okay, for Dr. Phil, there you go. Stop doing it. You solved the problem, Dr. Phil.
I fucking hate Dr. Phil with a passion. He's a fucking joke.
Another example of fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
That's just trashy daytime TV, right? Which is
Springer's always been better than Dr. Phil.
Which is dying.
Maury. I like Maury.
When I'll never forget when I lived in San Diego and I went through a period of time when I was looking for work. It took me about 3 months to find a job where I was, and so naturally, what do you do when you're looking for work? You watch daytime TV, and it was funny because probably like 2 or 3 times an hour there was a commercial that would come on TV, and it was about treating vaginal mesh. Which is a thing, which is, I can't help but laugh at it. But basically, I'm like, Jesus, like, I'm fucking like 80 years old. Like, this is clearly catered to like an older crowd. Like, is this what I've become?
Back in the 80s, that was my nickname, Vaginal Mesh.
What that smell like?
Sit down, cunt.
So we started off the show strong. And, there was not even really a true, introduction to who Eli is and why he's here. So maybe we should do that as we wrap up as like the final thing. Yeah. I'm like, how do we know Eli and everything? Like,
I first met Eli through friends that I used to party with way back in the day, back before I had children, way before I ever thought about settling down and having a family and all that. And Eli first came to, I believe it was one of my birthday parties, 23rd maybe, perhaps, something like that.
23rd, 24th, something like that. Somewhere
in my early 20s.
What's the Kevin Bacon connection? Like how the 3 degrees.
Yeah, 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
I like to eat bacon. Are you talking about like the...
Yeah, like he knew somebody who knew somebody who...
He knew somebody who knew me.
Yeah. So I went to college at NKU, Norris represent, and
what were you studying?
So I got my bachelor's in liberal studies, which is basically create your own major, which is basically bullshit, which is basically unemployment studies, but with great conversation. And so I had this friend.
Liberal.
That's right, Alex. Suck it. So I had this friend, Nicole, and she was a dear friend.
Nicole Danger, who's also been on the show.
Nicole Danger. She's been on the show before?
Yeah, she's been on the show before, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Nicole's a wonderful person, and she and I developed a deep friendship, and so naturally I was introduced to people in her world. So through her, I was introduced to Jerry and a number of other friends. Jerry of whom
a lot of nefarious characters.
Jerry of whom was the strongest of relationships amongst them. And later in life, I was privileged and honored to be asked to be Jerry's best man.
Yeah. When I got married, my Halloween-themed wedding that nobody thought was going to happen.
What was your first impressions of each other?
Of Eli?
Yeah. You were at your...
I really don't remember.
Because it was a birthday party?
Yeah, I was probably pretty hammered when I met Eli.
So, I would believe I was semi-introduced to Jerry through Tiffany, and who's
also been on the show.
Was a dear friend.
Who's also been on the show, yeah.
Unfortunately, and I love Tiffany. Tiffany, if you're listening, I love you dearly, but I was introduced to a lot of the guys as don't make gay jokes. Eli's coming. he'll be so offended. Oh my goodness gracious.
I don't think anybody told me you were gay from the get-go.
But even then, but what is that? Like, do I have to introduce if I meet somebody at the fucking bus station, do I have to say, "Hi, I'm gay.
In this day and age,
You know,
a lot of people just do that anyway.
It reminds me of an Mad TV or SNL skit where Jim Carrey was on, and he was like a gay character. So he shows up at this party
Hi,
with his friend.
I'm gay.
Yeah,
That was in Living Color,
In Living Color, was it in Living Color?
Yes.
And he gets there, and his friend says, "You know, I know that you are what you are, but please just keep it cool." And he's like, "Hi, I'm Jerry. I'm gay." And so the funniest
Why's it
part.
gotta be Jerry?
Oh, sorry. Hi, I'm Johnny. Sorry, Johnny.
Gotta keep it neutral, bro.
Got to keep it neutral. So he's being very flamboyant at this party. He sits down on this couch, and this guy sits next to him, and Jim Carrey says, "Hi, I'm Johnny. I'm gay." And then this other guy goes, "Oh, I'm gay too." And he puts his arm on his shoulder, and Jim Carrey goes, "Don't touch me. I'm not a piece of meat."
Right.
And he goes, "Attention, everyone! Just so you all know, I'm gay." And it's just like I'm 32 now, and I've gotten to the point where, like, what does it fucking matter? What do I have to hide? The only thing that I'd ever be afraid of, which luckily, knock on wood, hasn't happened, is if somebody decided to get all fucking frisky about it and mean and try and hurt me or something like that. Which again, luckily, I've never come across.
Right.
But it's just
you almost did the first night I met you.
Well, yeah, because your friend Ruben, the psycho motherfucker, introduces himself to me as I'm sitting there looking forward at your bar, having a drink, and he sits next to me, face probably 5 inches from mine, and he says, "You ever had your shit packed in?" And my response is, "Hey, my name is Eli. How are you? I'm not really sure how this conversation is starting."
If that was me, I'd have looked at it and been like, "Oh yeah,
I've been very lucky in that.
big time, bro."
I've been very lucky in that regard. Like, my parents and I don't really discuss it because what's to discuss? Why do I'm Eli. Why do I have to fucking say that? Why do I have to say who I am, who I love, what I feel? And I don't understand why anybody has to feel that way. I was at a company party a couple weeks ago, and I'm drinking and dancing and having fun. And this coworker, this girl that I work with, she pulls me in and she says, "Eli, do you think that guy Joe is gay?" And I was like, "None of your fucking business, bitch." Like, who do you think? What does it matter? He's Joe. He's Joe. His name is Joe.
Does she know you're gay?
I would assume.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, who sucks my dick doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and I just got so upset with her. I'm like, why is it a thing? Why do you care? Why are you trying to fucking jump labels?
Right.
But take us back to the party. So you walk into Jerry's party house.
Yeah. What was your initial reaction?
So by that point in time, college had really opened me up and kind of caused me to bloom like a flower. And so I was ready and prepared to make friends, meet people. And so when I got there, everything was all groovy and great. And Jerry seemed like a really great guy, and we had fun and we were drinking. But then I was immediately very uncomfortable.
Did I ever meet Ruben? I don't know if I did.
I don't know if you met Ruben or not.
I don't think I did.
He's very, very much Mexican.
So you said both Nicole and Tiffany have both been on this podcast.
Yeah, they have.
How? I mean, you were talking like years ago, like.
We had Tiffy, I think about we probably had both of them at least 2 years ago, probably. It's been a while, yeah.
Okay. How wild was Tiffy? Was that a pretty raunchy conversation?
Tiffy took her clothes off, yeah. Yeah. Talked about sucking a lot of dick and, typical old school Tiffy.
She's had a wild ride of a life, but
she sure has.
She's happy and settled and has a man, and I think that her life is going well. And I want to say the same for Nicole. I think everything's going good for her, too.
Yeah, congratulations, Nicole, on the new addition to your family, as well as Tiffy. Obviously, Tiffy had a little baby boy. Cute as a button. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Nicole did, too?
No, Nicole actually got a new cat.
Oh.
Yeah.
But Tiffany has a baby?
Yeah, you didn't know this?
No.
Yeah.
I'm out of touch.
Yeah, you're way out of touch, bro.
Tiffany and I talk probably once every year or 2 years.
You need to hit her up, man. She's got a cute little baby boy, cute as a button, man. Posting him all over Instagram. I gotta like the pictures, man. They're just too cute. He's got the cutest little smile. He's like,
I guess I'm just out of touch. As I get older, it's just kind of like people come and go in your life so much. It's just
life comes in seasons. A guy once told me that.
The Dai Jing, right? The Book of Tao. Life
It was the
comes
Book
in
of
seasons.
Eli, actually.
The Book of Eli with Denzel.
I love me some Denzel. My wife loves Denzel.
I love Denzel. Just last night,
Guarantee it.
I was watching American Gangster. Isn't that a fucking incredible movie?
Not
Yeah.
as good as Training Day.
Not as good as Training Day.
No.
Training Days.
Or the Book of Eli. I love the
didn't-
Book of Eli.
I really didn't care for Book of Eli.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I like
I
The
like that.
Equalizer, though. That was pretty good.
Oh, Equalizer was excellent. I just
Right.
discovered the Equalizer not that long ago.
You watched it on
I watched
FX,
the
didn't you?
No, I googled it. I googled it. I saw a trailer for it and like fucking incredible. What a great movie.
I hate to cut you off here. Let's go back to this party here again.
Okay.
When Chubbs was asking about like first impressions, obviously I can't remember my first impression of you. Unfortunately, not saying you didn't make a huge impact on my life.
I mean, obviously he has.
Yeah, but what was your first impression of me? Like when you walked in and Nicole
I
was
thought
like, "Hey,
you
this
were.
is
I
Jerry."
thought you were a wild partier. It seemed like what I was a part of that night seemed to be a pretty regular thing for you.
Oh yeah, it was.
And
Was it a
you-
regular thing for you at the time?
Yes and no. At that time, I wasn't really a drinker. I was just smoking a bunch of pot, and so alcohol wasn't really a huge part of my life. Hasn't even really been until a couple of years ago when I moved back to Kentucky and there was a shortage of pot. And so,
it's legal in Ohio now.
I've got such a bad anxiety condition. I got to do something.
Right.
You know?
So you just thought I was a wild party guy.
I thought
you were right,
I
I
thought
was.
you were a wild party guy, day drinking, girl banging, like every little thing's gonna be all right kind of guy. Like
Pretty much, yeah.
and especially considering like who your friends were at the time. But that led to us hanging out again and again and again.
What was the second? Like, how did you guys get connected for that? Like, obviously he doesn't even remember you.
I mean, I remember him being there. He was very sharply dressed, but I don't remember like that initial
Interaction.
introduction. Yeah, unfortunately, I hate to say that. Eli.
Well, I think that's a good thing, Jerry, because our relationship has developed so much, and I've gotten to know you so well over the years, and even despite our recent disconnection, the more I got to know you, the more that I liked you, and we hung out all the time. And
What did you guys bond over? Like, what was your?
probably just
and
getting
I'll-
fucked up.
And I'll tell you,
Fucked up
I'll
shit.
tell you, Jerry and I became such good friends when he was living with James and Mo, and I loved hanging out with him so much that I remember one time I was living with my parents in Ryland Heights, and it was snowing. It was like a blizzard.
You walked like 12 miles.
I walked like 4 or 5 miles to Jerry's house just to kick it.
You walked from Ryland Heights all the way to Fort Wright.
From Ryland
Yeah.
Heights all the way to Fort Wright.
How did?
And-
What route did you take? I'm interested in this.
So I walked all the way down to Coursey Pike. I took a left on whatever road
Grand.
that is by Grand.
Okay.
Then I went down that
Howard Litzler.
Howard Litzler by Johnny's Toys.
Gotcha.
And then boom, and then I was
Okay.
there at Jerry's.
Gotcha.
But that was also in the snow, uphill, both ways, barefoot, on fire, naked.
But was there like a Step Brothers moment where you're like, "What did we just become best friends?"
I don't know, Eli. Was there?
We kind of got there because at first it was Jerry and I hanging out like in a party setting with a group of people. And then it became more and more Jerry and I hanging out one-on-one. Like to me, in relationships and friends, to me, I value one-on-one so much. And Jerry and I would have a lot of them. And, again, I just got to know him better. And, Jerry's a wonderful human being. He has a good heart. He's human and capable of error like anybody else. But you won't find a more loyal, kind person. And I had the pleasure of just being along for the ride.
Yeah.
And fast forward a year or two or however long it was, and Jerry asked me to be his best man, which I was so flattered by.
I wish I could pull up that speech you gave. It was
Oh
breathtaking.
my God. I still tell people about that speech. I'll never forget. I remember the very opening. So what was funny is in terms of wedding speeches, which I've given a small handful in my life, I'm used to wedding speeches being immediate, right?
Right.
You introduce the couple, you go through that, and then you have the wedding speech. Well, at Jerry's wedding, it was maybe an hour or two in. So by that point,
He was half lit.
by that point, not only did I have an opportunity to think about more and more what I was going to say, but I was a little drank. And I remember the very first thing I said was, "Hey, let's give it up for Jerry. Doesn't he look great?" And everybody's like, "Yeah!" And I went, "Stop. I went, "Everybody stop. He's no Edward." And so I think about it now. I thought that was funny, but I almost worried that was like insulting, and people are like, "Fuck you." He is like Edward. Like Jerry was beautiful. Jerry looked great.
Eli, in my opinion, I'm no Edward. No Edward.
But you're also going for
like old school Dracula.
Yeah. You're very much Bela Lugosi.
Yeah. If you just said he's no Bela Lugosi, I may have fist fought you in the parking lot.
No, I would have been like,
you're somewhere in between Bela Lugosi and Edward.
Yeah,
it would have been all over YouTube.
He's no Bram Stoker's
Groom fights best man for talking shit. Well, and actually, one of my favorite moments about that whole time is I think at some point, Tony/Anthony and his wife,
right,
and me and you and somebody else. We were going out back to like go smoke a joint or get high or something like that. And so we're there in Latonia. So we're walking by and I see this good looking fella and like these two girls. And I went, "Hey." And he immediately goes, "Don't talk to my girl." And what was funny is because Anthony and his wife are badasses. They're good human beings. They like take care of business. Like what
they don't take no shit.
They don't take no shit. What model human beings? And what was funny is because Anthony laughed and he was like, "Dude, my wife was a former Marine. She'll fucking whip your ass up and down, left and right." And I gotta tell you, there's such a gratifying because not being a fighter, there is such a gratifying feeling when I'm with somebody who is a fighter and who could fight and who would fight for me. And when someone is being really nasty, like I had a moment many years ago. My friend, who I'll leave unnamed just in case, she was an exotic dancer, a webcam model, and she was in that world. She was in that life. But you know what? She was smart. She made a ton of money doing it.
Right.
And
I think I remember who you were talking about.
She invited me out to go to the bars one night with her. And so, of course, she brought all the girls from her strip club and all their boyfriends. And bless their hearts, they were nice people, but they were all very stereotypical. These strippers were all dumb and blonde, and their boyfriends were tatted and big and dumb, and but they were like nice, good people. So I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to say that. I'm just trying to say they were more exactly what you would think. So we're sitting at this bar in Covington, and there's these brads walk in, and immediately one of the guys walks up to her, and he's like, "What are you doing with this fag?" And immediately, like you hear a chorus of all these guys' chairs scoot out, and they all stand up, like, "You talking to somebody in our party, you son of a bitch?" And this guy's like walking away, like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean anything." And I'm like, "What? Even though I'm not going to be the one to do something, I've never even thrown a punch. I throw a baseball like a girl, for heaven's sakes. I don't know how to.
I've seen it. He does.
He's seen it.
He throws baseball like a girl.
So there's something so gratifying about that, but. I'm wandering off, but anyways, back to the evolution of Jerry and I's friendship, and then Jerry and I's friendship continued, and we still hung out a lot, and I developed...
Was there any, epic moments where you're like, you're going to remember this night forever?
Yes, there was a few of those. One in particular,
there we go.
Hanging out at Jerry's house was some girl who was a friend of somebody had brought in a little bag of cocaine. And
what that smell like?
We're back in Jerry's little back room, like his little private room. If you got invited back to Jerry's little back room, you were special. He wasn't going to fucking bring some nobody back there with us, especially when
I just wanted to get somebody back here and jerk off in front of him.
Yeah, well, so this girl pulls out like a little bag of coke, and she's like, "You guys want to try some?" We're all like, "Sure, absolutely." And so then Jerry's like, "You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to ask you." And he says, "Can I do a line of coke off your ass?" And she goes, "No." And he was like, "Well, I'm still going to ask." So
that was me. That was the party Jerry. The party Jerry right there. But we are getting close to that 1 hour mark here, people. We got shit we got to do. Chubbs has got to get home. He's got a child waiting for him at home.
So all that I'll say is don't hopefully the audience doesn't feel judgment towards me or any of my fellow podcasters here. We're just letting it. We're real.
Just letting it
It's
flow.
old school.
Yeah, going old school with it.
And I do want to zip back to something I mentioned earlier about the fella that I met online. His name is actually Fred. And I will say that as complicated and weird and untraditional as it is, I truly believe that I am in love and I have hope for the future. So hopefully no weird feelings about how I began that in case he happens to listen.
Oh.
Hey, no big deal, man. But hey, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank our guest, Mr. Eli, for coming in, man. It's been a long time, man.
Jerry, World Star Hip Hop, and Jerry, I just want to say, Jerry and Tim, to both of you, I respect what you're doing. I love what you're doing. And I hope to be a part of it again in the future. And don't ever give up doing what you love and being dedicated. I look up to you. I admire you. I love you. And appreciate you as a friend, as a mentor, and to all of you listening, just know that you won't find a more real, fucking beautiful human being than this man I'm looking across from right now.
You're about to make me cry.
And
stop.
Tune the fuck in, people.
If you made it this far and you heard that, please, tune in. But thanks, Eli, for coming in. Thank you, Dusty B. Even though you couldn't be with us, you tried your best. You had some stuff you had to do. I want to thank you for all that you do here. Chubbs, I want to thank you for hitting us up with the soundboard again this week. I hope the fans enjoyed that. I hope it wasn't too loud at some point with the horn and whatnot. The Law and Order.
Sit down, cunt.
Go ahead and sit down, cunt.
I love
One
that.
last time.
That's going to be a staple.
Yeah,
of the
that's
show.
going to be a staple.
No, seriously, I think the title of this episode should be Sit Down, Cunt.
It might just be. You never know. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Sorry we didn't get to do the YouTube video. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on the Snapchat, all that good stuff. We are trying to find some interns, quote unquote. I threw my fucking hands up like people can see me. But if you want to be a part of the show, you want to come in, you want to basically, I just need somebody to take pictures of us in the studio, while we're doing it, upload little short clips to the Facebook and the Instagram, stuff like that. If it's something that you'd be interested in doing, just fucking hit us up. You gotta be local, obviously. I'm not gonna fly.
And the phone number is 555.
Actually, the phone number is 859-429-0055. You can always hit us up on all the social medias. We're on there. We're on the Snapchat.
And Jerry, what's the website address?
It's KYHBB.com. Eli.
Okay. And Jerry, can they find you on YouTube and Stitcher and anywhere we find our podcasts?
Yes, exactly. And don't forget iTunes. Yeah.
Okay.
The biggest podcast app out there. Working on. I think I'm looking to getting on iHeartRadio. Seeing if we can get on there.
Okay.
But it is going to be our time this week. I want to thank Eli again for coming in. I want to thank Chubbs here for doing the soundboards. Hit us with one more before we get out of here.
Oh, yeah!
Yeah! And that's going to be us. I'm your host, Jerry Saylor.
Chubby Friendly.
Eli.
And we are the fuck out.